Right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off and we'll let people continue to trickle in as needed. Thank you all so much for joining. We're really excited to be officially launching this toolkit and to walk you all through it. Obviously, with the proliferation of AI and its expansion of accessibility over the last few years, small business owners like yourselves are seated at this really exciting opportunity in which you have the tools at your disposal to be competing in arenas that even 5 years ago you wouldn't have had access to. So that said, this toolkit was created with small business owners like you in mind. So it's super straightforward. And ultimately, we want to be saving you time, saving you money, and subsequently allowing you to scale your business as efficiently and effectively as possible. So James will be walking you guys through the toolkit today. He is our head of product at NEWITY and the mastermind behind the creation of the toolkit. So be sure to be dropping any questions that you might have in the chat, and he will be sure to answer them at the end. So without any further ado, James, take it away.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here. I'm excited to share a lot of information about the AI Toolkit and its origins, and also about AI in general, which is, of course, the foundation for the toolkit. As a side note about me, so I have a background in software engineering and product management from doing this essentially since the first time I broke my grandpa's computer way back in the day. But my family has a lot of small business owners in it. My dad owns his own company. My mom has worked kind of in a small business capacity as a contractor for a larger organization, running her own business for multiple years, and others involved as well. And so they've taught me a lot. And so I understand some of the challenges that are associated with that, owning your small business, trying to do everything. And so talking a bit about NEWITY and what we do. NEWITY is in the business of providing small business capital access to the entire nation. And so we're excited that we're able to do that effectively. And as we support small businesses, we have to think about all the other challenges that they face. And so AI being a disruptor in the space, in the industries in general, we wanted to not focus on how much change that is, but the opportunity that is there. And so we've helped hundreds of thousands of small businesses in past programs like PPP and current programs through SBA 7A and other products, our growth term loan. And so we've enabled over 12 billion in capital through these different loans and programs that we've supported. We do all of this with a little bit of AI on our side, but that AI is used to speed up the process and can beat the national average by 3x or more to get that funding. So that's enough about NEWITY. Let's talk a bit about what we're going to discuss today. And we want questions. I believe, Raina, we have a Q&A section tied into this. You can type questions in there, or if you can't find that, shout it out in the chat. We're going to have time at the end for questions and other things, as well as a demo. So today we want to talk about what AI is, why we want to use it, how it can help small business owners. We want to look at some of the trainings that we have, because we understand that this is a fundamentally different set of tools that are available. So I hope that I can provide a framework to help all of us understand it. And then breaking that apart, not only in the trainings, how to use it, where to get started, et cetera, but how to specifically use AI through prompts. And I'll explain all of that as we go. Then what other tools we have on the toolkit on the website, and what tools work for what functions in the business. And then lastly, we'll do some demo. I'll show you the site, maybe even throw a prompt or two into Claude, and we'll have some time for a Q&A. So why AI, why now? We've seen through the industry different statistics, some of them here on the screen. 89% of small businesses now use AI in some capacity. Whether or not you know you use it, it's built into a lot of the tools that you have at your fingertips. We see that 91% of small business AI adopters are having some sort of revenue increase that's associated with that, and that could be an efficiency increase, it could be other things. $3.50 return on every dollar invested into AI integrations, and an average of $7,500 saved per business annually. So I think the opportunity that lies in front of us is the idea that we can now accomplish more as one person. In my role specifically, I see that I'm able to do a lot more things across the spectrum versus having to delegate those out. So in the past, I may have, I don't know, wanted to leverage a part-time person to help with booking travel or booking meetings, or someone to help summarize meetings through notes, or having to take those notes myself and being more distracted on meetings. And now all of those things, as a simple example, are able to be distributed across different AI tools. Not to mention, of course, the software engineering aspect of what I do being vastly more efficient. But even things like this, this webinar or the AI Toolkit itself, we were able to build and release the AI Toolkit in a very short timeline, process feedback, and would love, by the way, continued feedback from any of y'all, in very quick timelines that in the past would have taken months and took us days and weeks. A little bit about the trainings that we have available and kind of where to start. So we have some reasons and things that I'll kind of walk through and think about. But on the right-hand side in the dark blue, these are the trainings that we actually have on the AI Toolkit, which I believe everyone should have in the chat, a link to it. If you don't and you need it, please let us know. But it's there for your use. These are all different things that are available on the site. But the fundamental issue is that if AI is used incorrectly, it can lead to less than desired results. And so we want to help you understand through our years, depending on how you think about AI, years of experience in working with it, to sort of isolate why those failures happen and to help you not make them. And so we see the majority of projects that use AI fail because, excuse me, because of poor human input. We think of it as a magic bullet. You can also think about, in the past, something like a Google search. If you search poorly, you get poor results. And so there's a certain way to use the tool that helps get better input. And so understanding those basics are going to increase your capacity to fuel the small business. Our trainings were created with small business owners in mind, and they cover a variety of topics and are meant to be sort of bite-sizable. So just as a background of the AI Toolkit, it's broken apart into, we have kind of a landing page of resources, but then 3 major categories of prompts, which are little snippets of text that you can take out of the AI Toolkit and put into an AI tool of your choice. And we have some recommendations and information about that on the site, and I'll talk a bit about that later. We have trainings, which are meant to be these brief descriptions of maybe step-by-step how to go about a process. And it ensures that you actually know how to use the tools that we have. And then specific tools. So these could be things like an explanation of what Claude is, or what Perplexity is, or ChatGPT, or Grammarly, or any of these other tools. And we kind of give you a recommendation. This tool is best for this kind of application, and why. And we'll talk about that as well. So I'm going to jump into a little bit and break apart the toolkit through the lens of AI as well. And the place that we start is prompts. So if you think about a conversation that you have today on a daily basis, if I was to ask you a question, I'm actually giving you a prompt. I might seed that with context. I might say, I was going to the store the other day, and I went down the aisle, and I happened to notice my favorite cereal from childhood. And it got me thinking, by the way, what's your favorite cereal from your childhood? Now, AI is not going to give you the answer to that question, but if you're speaking with a human, you've given context and a prompt, essentially a question or a task or something for someone else to do. And that's roughly speaking what you need to do with AI as well. So prompts are instructions or questions or information that you're giving to the AI tool. And you can think of it as I've said already, talking with this assistant. AI, which is today what we call large language models, all they do is they predict the next word, and they're using other tools and things to help them with this. They predict the next word that should go with all of the context and information that it has. So the better that you can help it narrow that down, the better the answer will be. And so an example would be, if I tell it dog, it may respond with beagle or Pomeranian or lab, or it may say canine, or it may go to wolf or something like that, because those are all adjacent. But if I tell it, I want you to identify a certain type of dog, it howls, it is probably tricolored, it has big ears, it's probably going to get us pretty close to beagle in that case. So that would also then help in the second column here of the proper context. The best outputs, so what the AI will give you, require curated information. And so we give you these prompts with specific instructions and structured ways to communicate with AI. It's not unique, it's just a summary of information that we've gathered from industry experts that help small business owners think in a very specific way. So we'll dig into some of those, but built into those tools, those prompts, are do's and don'ts that help the AI to avoid its common pitfalls. So we've thought about this problem for a long time. We use AI daily at NEWITY, almost across the entire organization. And we have collected all this information from industry experts and through our own experiences as well. And it's meant to be, most of the prompts and things like that are meant to be copy and paste, just use it. So here are a few ideas, and we'll dig into maybe one or two of these when we go into the demo in a minute. Maybe create a 7-day social media calendar as an idea, or create a business goal to quarterly action plan, generate promotion ideas, or a weekly business pulse. These are all different prompts that we have on our system that you could use, and these are good ways to get started. And so we'll just keep going as we think about those kinds of problems that your business may solve. Normally, it requires a small business owner to think beyond themselves to solve some of these problems. They may be, a subject matter expert on their business, like yard work or landscaping or AC repair, or you name it. They don't have the time and capacity to hire someone to do social media. But if you hire the assistant, which is AI, there's a chance that it can give you a leg up, even a simple one that might help start the pattern that allows you to understand, for instance, social media, or think about new ways to promote your business, or new ways to work with your employees. So some quick things, like tool-wise, there are a lot of different tools that exist, a lot of different options. We have them broken out. We'll try one of them today, Claude, but maybe you need to write something. Now, writing typically comes with a lot of structure, so you don't need to be super, you don't necessarily want the AI agent to be super creative in that, in the sense that you don't want it to make up a bunch of stuff. You may tell it, here's what I intend to write, here's a bunch of information from my specific context, help me write. So I would probably recommend using Claude, and there's these things called models that are built into the AI that have different levels of sort of intelligence, as it were. And so Claude Sonnet might be a good choice. Perplexity is an amazing tool that helps you research. So think of it as Google on steroids. If I tell it to do business research or industry research on certain things, it comes back, it goes and searches the internet, and it uses AI alongside of a deeply embedded internet search methodology that gives you incredible information. Competitive analysis is a good example of that. Research on clients or prospects or certain types of industries or problems you're trying to solve and how other people have solved them. It's like if someone who knew Google best used Google for you without ever using Google. Brainstorming is something that you want a higher level of, like a higher intelligence model to do. Claude Opus, or the new one that just came out today, by the way, yay, more models, Mythos, or the other models that just came out from Anthropic. But Opus is a great tool to use to help you think. Automation, there are a lot of tools out there. Zapier is one. If you haven't heard of it, it's just a way for you to connect systems, and they have AI tools built into that. So if you want an email to be automatically processed into another system, if you want something that comes out of your your contact relationship tool, your CRM, etc., then customer relationship management tool, then maybe Zapier could be used to do that. And so they have thousands and thousands of connectors between systems, and they help do that through AI. Few words of caution before we get into the demo. Unless, and there's an asterisk to this first one, you should treat AI like it's a public-facing notes app of sorts. The different providers do different things depending on the agreement that you have. And so it's probably best not to share confidential information unless, asterisk, you know what you're doing and you have the right kind of agreements with them. But I would just say in general, you don't need to share confidential information to get good answers out of AI. Approximate numbers are good. Fact check dates and citations. You should ask AI to cite its sources to tell you how it came up with certain answers. And the last thing, and this is important, and it's like most conversations we have, if we don't get the answer we want, we ask in different ways. If someone doesn't understand us or they give us a roundabout answer, we may ask them to be more specific. So if the initial output isn't preferable, if it's off, if it's whatever, add more context, give it more guidance, help it to have specifics. Oh, this is great, but I need to, let's say a 7-day social media window. This is an amazing plan, but I want it to be specific to LinkedIn. I want it to be specific to something that I can do in 15 minutes at the end of my day. I want to focus on these 2 or 3 specific areas of my business. Those would all help give better instructions. As you think about other things to watch out for and consider, hallucinations are a real thing. AI, as a predictor of next words, can invent things. And so you want to double check everything that comes out of what it's doing, especially as you go to present that as truth to someone else. Never paste specific numbers and PII, things like that, personal identifiable information, social security numbers, tax IDs, bank account numbers, don't do that. And don't treat AI as legal or financial advice, typically. Have it help you think through problems, but not necessarily give you the most perfect example. Because at the end of the day, it's trying to please you, so be strict with it. Cool, so I'm gonna do something and try to make sure I can share my screen correctly and click around the AI toolkit to give you a bit of an overview. And then we're gonna try one prompt together. I think I have it all set up right. Everyone should be able to see my screen here. I think that's right. And so to give everyone just a brief overview here of the toolkit, on the landing page, you're going to get a quick sort of set of instructions on what to use and where. So ready to use prompts, go to the prompts, training, or tools. And so if you don't know where to get started, I would recommend any one of these 3 things. Our most useful prompts are here as an example. Well, let's look at a few of these. So if I want to use prompts effectively, it's going to break down, in this case, the 4 parts of a good prompt. The persona, the task, the context, and the format. So an example, a bad prompt is write a follow-up email. A stronger prompt might be act as a friendly small business owner. write a follow-up email to a homeowner who got a landscaping quote last week and hasn't responded. My business is a 3-person residential landscaping crew in Austin. Keep it under 150 words, professional but warm, with one clear call to action, no discounts. This is a much better prompt because it is given a lot of instruction and some context. Cool. So this is an example of training. Let's look at a prompt. Social media post is this one that we can use. We want the AI to act as a social media strategist who specializes in small business content. And then we give you the instructions of what to put where. So the context, we're going to replace this with our specifics and what platform we're going to use, et cetera, et cetera. And then the instructions open with a strong hook, focus on one clear message per post, et cetera. So I can just click copy, and this is copied. I can then go over to Claude. I can paste it in, and I could say my business type. I can say the platform that I'm trying to go on. I can say the topic. The key message. Target audience, in this case would be small business owners. So I'll just make this change real simple. Tone, we'll just say professional. I don't really have any constraints. Keep it simple. And then the rest is ready to go. So let's switch to Opus real quick and have it run. So while that's going, Raina, I think we may have a few questions or some queued up. I wonder if you could help us out with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like James said, feel free to drop your guys' questions in the chat or the Q&A section. Either one, I'll go ahead and read them off. But James, to get you started here, we've got, can you use any prompt for any business type, or are they organized by industry?
As I demoed here, the prompts are meant to be somewhat generic. Of course, not all the prompts would apply to your business. Essentially, I mean, I think you may not want to write into social media for some reason. You may not need a quarterly business plan or hiring plans, things like that. But they're meant to be general so that you can use it for any industry. And you can see here, this tool has come back with some questions. And that would actually help in this case if I wanted this specific prompt to come back with help for bookkeepers and finance, or marketing and content, or operations and admin. I probably just, in this case, because I was speaking rather generically, would tell it a bit of everything. And then what should the call to action be? In this case, I didn't like any of these. There's no choice here that makes sense. I would say go to AI toolkit.newity.com. So I told it to do something different, and it's free. There we go. So it asked me some good follow-up questions, which gave it even more context as it builds out the answer. We'll let this one work some more, Raina, and maybe you have another question.
Yeah. Okay, so this one here, I don't have a specific immediate need for AI. I just want to start with something. Is there one prompt or general function you'd recommend as a preliminary gateway?
Okay, so I'll give a couple of brief ideas. I think I have 2 or 3 depending on which one sounds best. Okay, so number 1, I would say summarize. So AI is incredibly good at summarization. So you could take notes from a meeting, you could take an email, you could take a document, you name it, uploading that to AI and asking it to give you the brief, the summary, the executive summary. I'm looking for these levels of details. So help me summarize this information, build out these details into your summary. Incredibly powerful. So if you're looking for that kind of information, that's a really good one. Number 2, or as a second choice potentially here, is help me think. Help me think about a topic. It acts as a companion. And especially if you add in the tagline, interview me or ask me questions or don't assume, it will follow up in a similar way to the questions you just saw now. But maybe you tell it, I want to think about this topic, whatever the topic is. Here's information about me and my business. Here's a topic I want to think about. Ask me 10 questions and help me come up with a good answer or a good summary or a good solution or whatever. You're going to get way more information out of AI if you can chat with it, essentially. And if you tell it to do it, it's incredibly powerful. And the third option, and the simple ways to get involved, Perplexity is an interesting tool because, yes, you can use it as sort of strict AI, meaning summarization and information like this, but it is, as I said also earlier, an incredibly good tool for research. And you can tell it to go and do a bunch of research for you, competitive analysis, thoughts on prospects, thoughts on your own business, and it's search on steroids. So I recommend it in that way. Before we get to the next question, I'm going to look at what AI gave us. So here's the copy. Running a small business means being the owner, the marketer, the bookkeeper, the ops team, and all, usually before lunch, excuse me. That's why we built the SMB AI Toolkit, a free set of tools, marketing, finance, day-to-day operations, a little help across the board so you can spend less time buried in busy work. Completely free, no catch, take a look. Hashtags are here, gives me an alternate and an explanation for what it did. That's pretty good. It's not bad. I can help fine tune it and I could say I want to make 7 posts in 7 days, I want to target these businesses, etc. And that would be a good follow-up. But that's about it for the demo. And I saw a couple of questions come through in chat, but Raina, what's a good next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can start with this one here from Cal. What is the best tool for construction estimates?
Great question. So one of the things that I haven't yet mentioned is that Claude itself is an ecosystem. So Claude has, if you go and follow some of their social media or some of their online content, they have what's called Claude for Business, and you can go and look at that. But the cool thing about Claude is, by Anthropic, is that it has plugins for every tool. So I would imagine that you're using Excel largely for estimates, or Word and Excel. Especially for construction estimates, you probably are in Excel. And so you can use the Claude for Excel plugin if you're doing that. And Claude will actually help you write formulas, help you think about specific problems, help you do, it can do research as well. It's not quite as good as Perplexity in the research as far as costs and other things. You want to double check everything that it comes back with. But I recommend Claude in that way, because it can go to the internet and it can do searching and do some of that research, but also those embedded tools in each of those specific platforms, whether it's your browser or, again, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, even Outlook, you can install the Claude plugins right then and there and use Claude there. So I would recommend getting started there.
All right, James, this one I think you touched on a little bit already, but if you want to circle back and maybe you have some elaboration, how do I fact check what AI gives me?
Great question. So I think it depends a little bit on what you're asking for. So if you asked it to summarize something, I think you would have to read that summary and say it seems like a reasonable summarization of that information. If you're asking for specifics out of something, then the best way to help AI to prove its point is to ask it to explain where it got that source information. So let me explain. We could think of this as footnoting in like a research paper. Perplexity is really good about footnoting by nature because it's going out and doing dozens of searches. And so it's going to show you in line, wherever it makes a decision, it's going to say number one, and it pulled it from blah, blah, blah.com. And number two, it pulled it from such and such.com. And it'll tell you where it got those answers from. Claude will sometimes do that, but you can ask Claude very specifically, show me where you pulled this information from. Tell me how you got this answer. And just by asking it sort of prove itself, it will. The other is if you're running actual calculations and other things like that, you can ask it to sort of build those algorithms in itself. It can actually run little programs and scripts, and it can sort of do its own math, so to speak, and prove it. And that's a whole nother conversation, but that way it's not necessarily, the model itself is not doing the 1 + 1 = 2. It's building code that's doing the 1 + 1 = 2 and proving it to you. So the shortest answer, again, ask it to show you how it got its answer is the easiest way I would tell you to do that.
All right, here's another one. What do you think about all-in-one AI platform?
I mean, I think it's like any Swiss Army knife that you would buy. Every tool has its purpose. I think so a Swiss Army knife is only good if you use each piece correctly. And so if you need every single one of those tools, it's awesome. But if you only need a knife, then buy only a knife. If you only need a screwdriver, then buy a screwdriver. But if you want to be able to sometimes use a screwdriver and sometimes use a knife, then platforms like Claude are really helpful. And they can also be told to act in a specific way, right? I want you to only help me think about this content. I want you to